Hello to all of you beautiful bakers and welcome back to the slightly new and hopefully improved BlueBell Bake. My name is Jordan. I'm your favorite everyday baker and medium baker, and today we are going to be making apple crisp shortbread pie/bars depending on the pan that you use. This is a recipe that I found on Pinterest, which I will of course link in the description below if you want to bake it yourself. And it is the perfect fall dessert, in my opinion, at least. But I didn't write the recipe, so take it with a grain of salt if you want to. Anyways, this is everything you need to make this recipe. So to make these bars/pie, it comes in 3 different steps. We have the shortbread base, the apple filling, and then the crumble topping. But we're gonna start with the shortbread base. So to make the shortbread base, you are going to need 1/2 cup of butter or 1 stick, 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The very first thing that you're going to do when making your shortbread base is we are going to cream our butter for about 5 minutes or until it goes from this yellow color to white. So in our butter goes to a mixer. Again, stand mixer, mix it by hand mixer. Probably one of the mixer ones where you don't have to have an arm workout when you don't need to. While this is mixing, we can then actually take our wrapper from our butter and we're going to grease our pan. So this is where the pie/bar debacle comes in, because the first time I made this recipe, I actually used an 8x8 silicone square pan and it turned out okay, but then I decided to do a pie pan instead the second time I made it, and I feel like it just turned out better. The original recipe calls for an 8x8 pan. I like using the circle one, so it's really up to you what you want to do, but either way, we're still going to grease our pan. You can also use parchment paper too, just so it's easier to lift up once you're done with the recipe, but for now, we're just greasing it up. Once your butter has been creamed and it looks white and pasty, such as myself, we are then going to add the rest of the ingredients. Well, almost the rest of the ingredients. We're now going to take our sugar, vanilla, and salt and add it to this butter mixture. And then once that's combined, we'll slowly add in our flour until it becomes one big shortbread base. Now that our shortbread base has become a shortbread base, we're going to transfer it to our pan and then use our fingers or a cup that I'm going to be using that's been greased, or even the butter wrapper, and place it down to spread it out evenly across our pan. Now that we have added our shortbread base to our pan, we're going to pop this into the oven at 300 degrees and bake for 15 minutes. So while our shortbread base is baking, we are going to multitask a little bit. And what I mean by that is we can actually prepare the rest of the recipe. To make the apple filling, you are going to need 3 apples that will be peeled and sliced, 2 tablespoons each of sugar and flour, 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Once you have peeled and sliced your apples, I'm using Gala apples, for example, but you can use any apple that you want. We're now going to take our sugar and our flour and add it to our apples, as well as our cinnamon and nutmeg. And then we're just going to combine this until all of the apples have been covered evenly. Now that our apples have been evenly combined, we can start on our crumble. To make the crumble topping, you are going to need 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, 3/4 cup of brown sugar, and 1/4 cup of butter, which again is equal to 1/2 stick. So to make our crumble, it's going to be very easy. We're just going to combine our brown sugar, our flour, and our butter, which I have already melted down. You can leave it softened if you wanted to, but when it's melted, it works a little bit easier. And then we just combine it all with a whisk. Now that we have all of our elements for this recipe, it's time to combine it into one delicious dessert. So we're going to start with our crumble base actually, and we're going to sprinkle 1/2 of it on our shortbread base. Then we're going to layer that with the apples and then again, top it off with the rest of the crumble. Once all of our layers have been added, we're then going to pop it back into the oven at 350 degrees, starting at 30 minutes. Our apple crisp shortbread just came out of the oven and it smells so good. My apartment smells like fall and it is amazing. But once it comes out of the oven, you're gonna wanna let it cool down just a little bit before you cut it into bars, or in my case, slices, and then that's it. So thank you all so much for watching. Again, the recipe is in the description below if you wanna bake it yourself. And until next time, be sure to follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest at bluebell.bake. And don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you always know when we're posting. And until the next time, keep on baking.